honestly, conversation is mostly listening and then responding and interacting and being in the moment. And you've probably experienced this multiple times. I have as well. When you're talking to someone, let's say you're at a networking event, for example, and you're talking to someone, you're striking up a conversation, and you can see the person's eyes wander across the room, like scanning and trying to see, is there someone else I can talk to who's more important than this person? And that makes you feel like crap.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel like, I'm here, I was making an effort to talk to you, but you couldn't be least bothered. And it happens so often in interpersonal context, but also in the brand context, in the context of someone giving a presentation. You've again probably seen a lot of presentations where the person is just in their head, and they could be talking to anyone. They would do exactly the same thing in the same way to different rooms of people. And that's not how you give great presentations. That's not going to get you remembered. That's not going to get you the funding that you're asking for, get you the client that you're pitching for. So much of connections, building those connections, is actually listening and having amazing listening skills, both in terms of like listening with your ears, listening with your eyes, listening with your body, being aware of what's happening, reading the room, reading people, reading situations. Same for brands. You've probably seen a lot of brand campaigns that are just in bad taste, that don't make sense. We saw so many of them during the initial days of COVID, for example. Where we were like,
anyone that's trying to jump on a trend bandwagon or a social movement bandwagon that isn't authentic to their brand. Because they're social media people. Well, we want to get in on this. We want to get on this. I want to go do that on your own side.
Yeah, because they're not having a conversation with their audience. They're not listening to their audience, and listening to their audience in the brand context would, of course, mean having your customer insights, having a system where you get customer feedback. It's amazing how many clients we work with that actually don't have detailed audience demographics, that haven't gone out and talked to their clients. And that's the first thing that we ask them to do. Can we go out and talk to your clients before working on this brand campaign, before creating your brand story? Because just having vague demographics, like we're reaching out to, 18 to 45-year-old people with high income in the US, that's really not enough. That's not a homogenous audience.
Not enough at all. There's not enough indices or details to tell a story that they're going to identify with. And that is an extremely important part of knowing your audience. And it can be something as simple as having someone call them and have a conversation and ask questions and do a survey that way, or send them a mail, a monkey survey or survey monkey or whatever that is. Or even just saying, okay, who are my top 5 favorite clients? I'm not saying the ones that are most profitable. I'm saying the ones that you want more of. And Googling them and seeing where they are online and seeing what stories they're engaging with. What stories are they telling, if they're not all hidden behind friends only? But there's a lot that you can tell about your audience if you just identify the ones that you really enjoy and Googling them.
Yeah, the information's out there, or the information can be obtained, can be created. It's about making it a priority. And a lot of times client teams are very action oriented, especially in China for sure. But I think this is just also a global trend. China is very special because, especially Shenzhen, the city I'm in, because they have this expression which says we're on Shenzhen time, which basically means like super accelerate anything and everything that you're doing, because that's how we do things here. So super action oriented, super like just ready to go. And of course, if you're ready to go, you're itching to just launch the campaign, to just do what you think you need to be doing for your brand. But is that really backed by enough research, enough audience listening? Not really, not like in a lot of the cases that we've seen, no. So it really requires making customer feedback a priority, like systematizing it and making it an integral part of every marketing process.
And the other piece that I was thinking of when you were saying that is, it's like the New York Minute, right? They're wanting to shrink the time between brand awareness and purchase for themselves. That's what they want. But their customer still has a journey. They still need that certain amount of touch points before they trust you enough to open up their wallet. When I was younger, it was 5 times. They needed to see your brand 5 times before they would get brand recognition. Then it was 11 times. Now I think it's up to well over 17 times last I read. So as much as they want to shorten that and get rid of all of those pieces in the funnel, the client journey is the important piece of their storytelling puzzle. Yeah, very true. And then also, it's very interesting to note like how to actually go beyond the awareness stage. A lot of brands now are, for example, working with influencers, and they work with influencers, but in a very limited way. They're just working for the top of the funnel awareness, and they're not actually making influencers a part of their brand journey. They're not really thinking long term. They're not thinking strategically, and that's how we see them also using other tools like video, for example. A brand will use video once for like to launch their product, and then forget about using video for other things like creating client testimonials, kind of showcasing the culture inside your company, or just simply having like webinars or informal conversations and chats with your customers. There's so much else that you could do, but people are just like, clients just very like, it's almost like they think like it's awareness and then boom, it just goes to purchase. Just not the case. Well, that's what businesses want. That's what a lot of digital marketing people have told them that it is. You put out a Facebook ad and you'll get a purchase right away. And they will sell you a course to teach you how to do that, because they've never really done it themselves, except for to teach you to sell a course, they'll teach you how to do that. They really have no idea about the psychology that goes behind a customer's decision-making process. The other thing I was thinking of when you were talking there was the influencer and how they only use them for the brand awareness. They'll buy one. And I think that has a lot more to do with how the influencer market has been developed, and the fact that these influencers, they don't really understand marketing beyond personal branding, right? They understand how to get on stage. They understand how to get attention for themselves, but that doesn't mean necessarily relate to knowing how to take someone from awareness and guide them through to advocacy on something where they're going to pay money for something that they may or may not really want. Where that's where marketing and sales come in, and it's a strategy and there's a game. But influencers really they live up in that brand awareness place, and they're selling eyeballs and brand awareness, which is very short term. I mean, I've had something go viral. It didn't
translate into sales
into anything. I'm just like thinking there wasn't added followers, there wasn't added anything. If you have something go viral once, just because people are going to see it does not mean that they're going to buy it. I read somewhere that it takes being with a brand 7 hours with a brand. They need to spend 7 hours with a brand in order to buy, to feel that they can trust enough to open their wallet and spend. So you got the brand awareness, and then you've got, you need 7 hours of content. Or that means 7 hours with them. Content. In order for that, or they have to be able to be in front of your brand in some way, shape, or form in order to invest in that. I think it depends on the brand. I mean, if you're selling a 10-cent candy, it's a lot different than if you're selling a $3,000 program. But
this is a really, really great point. This is what we're seeing more of now in marketing. That it's not about the reach, it's about the quality of the reach. It's about the quality of the community that you're building. You could be building a gigantic community of people that are entertained by your brand. They might never buy it, but you could at the same time, you could be building something that is that appeals to a very small niche of people, but those people are then, like you said, going to become not just your buyers, but then your advocates, and they're going to tell other people, and those are going to tell other people, and it's going to have a whole ripple effect. And that's what you want. I just recently saw a post on LinkedIn by this content creator who compared two of his recent posts. One was about the LinkedIn, the funny emoji. And he said, like, this post, like you said, went viral, and it got like so many comments, like hundreds of comments, thousands of impressions, 0 sales. And a second post that he was comparing it with, it was about a very concrete case study. I helped my client do this, get from here to here, and here's how I can help you. Much smaller reach, and he got like 3 leads and 1 client out of that one post. And that really showed me how, it's not about that, that $2 candy of kind of appealing to a wide audience. I feel like those kinds of products, interestingly, are actually becoming fewer and fewer, and now more and more products are going more into the niche audience. And that makes sense, because we're just so saturated with everything that if I see ads for just generic things, I'm just seeing too much of it. But if I see something that is just targeted to, a female living in a big city managing her business, yeah, that's me. Sure. Yep. What do you have? So yeah, it's really about creating a smaller but more meaningful communities. This is why micro influencers and nano influencers are doing so well. And the huge influencers, like, I really think they're going to become dinosaurs soon, because they're just they're super expensive, priced out for a lot of brands, and B, they're just reaching too many people. It's really sad
if they're reaching that many people, because you got to still remember, a lot of times they've got all of these followers, but how many of those followers actually see the post? And it might be impressive to the brand because they're like, oh, look at this, 1,000 people, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, maybe even 10,000 people saw the post. But they've got hundreds of thousands of followers and only 10,000 people saw the post.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've got an email list of 6,000 people with an open rate of 80, 90%.
That's amazing.
So where there's going to be more value with my list than with 100,000, 200,000, a million followers, right? Plus, it's like, okay, so who are these followers? Are they really the clients? Because a lot of times brands will pay for these influencers, and the influencers' followers aren't following them for the same reason that they would follow the brand. They may be following the influencer because they think she's pretty, or she travels to all these places, but yet the brand sells, a beverage of some sort.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. So, it comes down to storytelling, right? I don't know if you've read the book, Contagion. I believe it's by Joe Berger, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Well, that's one that I'm going to put on the list because that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Contagious. And there he talks about a number of different factors that lead to a message becoming viral, and viral in the sense of actually being beneficial to the brand. And one of those things is using storytelling as a vehicle. And he says that kind of a rookie mistake that a lot of brands make is that they think that the story is the be all and the end all. But actually, the story is just a vehicle to carry your brand message. The story is the hook. And then you have to follow up with something that is integral to your brand, that is embedded in the story, that in a way that you cannot tell the story without it. But if it's just, a flashy story, I actually use this example in one of my LinkedIn posts as well. You remember how there was a post going around of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trials. There was that meme on LinkedIn. It blew up.
Oh, yes. I remember that one.
Someone was just riding that bandwagon, and they created this meme of like, this is what Amber Heard said to Johnny Depp at the end of the trial. And it was like a silly little ad at the end. You remember that happening, but do you remember what the ad was or who it was for?
No, and I have absolutely no interest in who it was for, because I remember when I read it feeling, oh, well, 1, I feel manipulated. 2, I feel like it's a bait and switch. 3, I don't have a good fuzzy feeling about this.
Yes, but at the time it went super viral, right? Well, everyone was sharing it. It was everywhere, and I'm with you. That's exactly how I felt. And